Hello and welcome to an e-isuite video tip on importing ROS resources into an existing incident in e-isuite. There are two scenarios in which ROS resources are imported to existing incidents. First, there is a case where the user wants to import resources that were excluded in previous imports. And second, there is the case where there are multiple ROS import files over a period of days or weeks, and new resources need to be imported into an existing incident. As the incident progresses, it may be necessary to retrieve the resources that were initially excluded. The data steward will be able to retrieve these needed resources at any time by utilizing the Import Excluded Resources functionality. To import excluded resources, you need to log into your incident as a data steward, select your incident, and then click on the ROS Import button. Any incidents with excluded resources will be listed in the incidents grid on the left. Select the desired incident from the list on the left, and you will see the excluded resources for that incident on the right. In this case, we have two aircraft that were excluded in previous imports, and we're now going to import those resources. Click on the first one to select it, and then shift-click on the second one to also select it. And with both resources selected, click on the Import Resource button. The Import Resource button will then bring up the ROS Re-import Excluded Resources dialog, and it will have a number of options, but since these are brand new resources to the incident, they've never been imported before, we can simply go to the Unmatched Resources screen, and you'll notice that the two aircraft now show on the left as being ready to be imported. So we click on Review and Complete, and it shows there are two resources, new resources to import. There are no uncompleted items. The ROS import can be completed, so we just click on Complete, and that completes importing those resources. If we go to the check-in module, you'll notice that those two resources are the first two resources in the list of resources in the resource grid. Next, we will look at another common scenario with ROS imports, where either one, an incident was created manually and some resources were checked in manually before a ROS import file was downloaded, or two, there are multiple ROS import files over a period of days or weeks, each subsequent file including more new resources for a specific incident that is already in e-isuite. In this demo, the river incident was created manually and a few resources were manually checked in. Then a ROS import file was downloaded. So in order to start a ROS import file for an existing incident, just click on the Incidents button. It'll take you back to the incident screen. Click on the ROS import button, and it will bring up the ROS import files list, and you need to upload your ROS import file. So click on Upload File, and our import file is in the training folder. It's the river ROS import file.xml. So click on that file to select it and click on Open. It'll upload the file and put it in the list of ROS import files that you can now import. So click on it once to select it, and click on Start Import, and you'll notice that the ROS import wizard comes up, and this time, if you look in the upper right, you'll notice that it says the system detected the following e-isuite incident as a match. The e-isuite incident name is River, and the e-isuite incident number is Montana-BDF-003811. On the gray bar below the incident name and number are 4 steps: match resources, exclude resources, data conflicts, and review and complete. And if we click on match resources, which is the default, you'll notice that it found 4 cases where the request number and name match request number and names that are already in e-isuite. So at this point, the data steward could review them and make sure they're correct, or select one if it's not correct and say no match. But in this case, they're all correct, so we'll leave it as it is. And we'll go to the next matching option, which is request number. And in this case, it found 2 resources where the request number matches an existing request number in e-isuite, but the name is different. So those need to be reviewed and make sure that they're actually the resources that should be imported with those request numbers. And when that review is complete, you can go on and check resource item and item name matches, and there aren't any. User matches, there aren't any. So if you go to the unmatched resources, all the other resources that are included in the ROS import file show up and they're ready to be processed. So you could, if you wished, exclude some resources, but we're not going to do it in this case. So we'll check for data conflicts, and we find one data conflict, a resource name that's too long. So we will shorten that name. It now is less than 55 characters, so that should resolve that conflict. So we'll click on Resolve Conflict, and then click on Review and Complete. And you'll notice in the Import Status window, there are 134 new resources to import. The system found 6 matched resources. No resources are being excluded in this import. There's no uncompleted items, and the ROS import can now be completed. So we'll go ahead and click on Complete, and it will import those other 134 resources into eISuite, into the existing river incident. We'll click on the check-in button, and that'll bring up the list of resources in the incident after the ROS import. You'll notice that there are a number of field resources. There's also the 6 resources that were checked in previously. So the ROS import worked as it should. And that completes the video tip on importing ROS resources into an existing incident in eISuite.